last thing, and then I definitely will stop. This is definitely the last one. The other thing about human rights is human rights also philosophically is linked to an old anthropocentric assumption, which is the only entities that have agency were humans. We now live in that post-human period. This is another reason why our time is so interesting. Not only are we post-liberal, we're bloody post-human, and we're post-human because we're in the technological world, we're also post-human for other reasons, which is, by that we mean that we used to think that we were humanistic because the only entity that exercised agency in the world were humans. Humans did things. Animals went by instinct, but humans had the agency to dream up projects to shape the world. We now know this is another problem for us, that agencies are now multiple, and the Earth itself has become an agent because it's acting in a way that we humans can't control. So we think we can still control the movement of global temperature rising. We think if we just pull down the old oil, this graph will suddenly go flat, and that if we keep putting it down, it'll start going down. This won't happen. Yeah. That makes me all good. So it's not going to go like that. So that's bad news for us. In other words, we're not actually in control, and there's multiple agencies all around us. In other words, other entities exercising freedom. So how do we talk about rights if we start extending rights to include trees? Do trees have rights? Do rivers have rights? Do whales have rights? Do cows have rights not to be eaten by us? Do chickens have rights not to be put into battery farms? Now, again, we think this is kind of funny, but if we were having this discussion in 1776, and I said to you, I think black people have rights, you need people. Women have rights. It's the same thing. The conceptual gate that we have to go through. Do habitats have rights? Does the planet have rights? And do those rights supersede our rights? So this is a dramatic moment. The Declaration of Human Rights, which is a completely anthropocentric claim, hits a barrier, a limit to do with could there be planetary rights to which human rights are subservient. And so sometimes the rights of a tree take precedence over the rights of us to build a road and drive from Casper to Westport and get there 3 minutes quicker. We just drive cars to get Westport quicker. But is that a right more than the right of the habitats that have given way when we build the new road? This is a puzzle, and intellectually it's very difficult for us because we're all humanists and we don't think in these terms. And then the last dramatic one, final sentence, is what about rights? Again, remember now the rights of those we don't recognize as persons. What about the rights of those not yet even conceived? The rights of the future, the rights of future generations, the rights of the children of your grandchildren. Do they have rights? Do we include them in the community of rights? And we say your grandchildren's children have rights that are exercisable now. We used to call it judiciable now. You could do something. They have locus standing to make a claim against us for what we're doing. What if we were sued by the future? Could someone represent the rights and the human rights of generations yet? Hold us accountable. That's a dramatic thought. So that's about it. So we're taking human rights as a simple thing. I hope I've blown it up now so that no one can do anything with it. I still start by saying it's very important. Strategically left a mere 5 minutes for questions. If we brought Chinese students to Western universities, do we teach them human rights? That's a provocative question. Yeah. They come here as consumers. They can come here as consumers of educational services, so they pay. See, that's the consumer thing. That's the, and it's another erosion. Just a transaction. The paradox is, if you go back to that World War II thing, it took World War II to generate Universal Declaration. So it could take this prospect of something awful for us to generate a new affirmation of holistic rights or ecological rights. That's the hope. That in the face of this peril, all the multiple perils we're facing, it's exactly at that moment that we grab the courage to say something new. That's the hope. Just like it was in the aftermath of World War II that people said, we have to stop. So you sometimes have to go to that end point to to come back up yet. The recovery only comes when you hit the bottom. Addiction. So that could be, and there's no reason why that's also a possibility. I think that would be good. But again, part of the responsibility for that is with our level colleges. Like, we're supposed to generate new thinking. This is my great worry, that we're not doing new thinking. We're just doing old thinking and keep hammering it out. Nothing does new thinking here. That's a real problem. So we do old thinking, preparing people for a world that neither does exist nor should exist. But we actually need to be doing new thinking. So this would be part of the new thinking across all our disciplines. How do we think for the 21st century? How do we prepare for the 21st century? But also how we create the 21st century by equipping students for a good 21st century. Otherwise, we will put their lives out because it's just too mythical. But if you actually take agency and prepare for a good 21st century by doing new things, thinking in new things, then we have the prospect. Now we're seeing the saber-toothed tiger and we're responding to it. Opposed to becoming taken up with cat videos.
And that would include everything, you know, from science to engineering to humanities.
Everything, yeah. There's no reason why that's not possible. I think one can be optimistic about the 22nd century, a bit pessimistic about the one ahead of us, but pretty optimistic if we get through. Because we only get through if we do change. So we won't get through otherwise. So if we're still here in the 22nd century, we'll probably be really good. In trouble. But human rights, the thing is, okay, it sounds a bit pessimistic, but human rights by definition steps into the dark places. Like, human rights is you have to put it into the dark places to make it real. Like, it goes into the genocide places, it goes into the extermination zones, it goes into the gas chambers, it goes into the Enola Gray bombers of the world. It goes in there. Otherwise, it's just piety. So again, that woman 4 days ago on the bus going to Mosley, and she dies on the floor of a bus. The next day, I should have ended that story. The next day, that same bus came to Mosley to pick up with the same driver. And none of the residents would go into the bus. They all walked. And I think that standoff is still continuing, as far as I know. So, you know, if it doesn't dig into the nitty-gritty, then it's all just